So the UFC hate Dustin Poirier. So today we're going to be talking about the announcement of UFC 318, and we've got a couple of other big news stories to cover in today's video. Just quickly, I want to say a big thanks to everyone who supports the channel. We have hit 1k subscribers. That was a goal of mine to hit by the end of the year, and we have already hit it. So just want to say a big thanks for all the support. But back into this crap. UFC 318, Holloway Poirier 3 for the BMF title. Have a glance at that card and tell me what you think of that. Because I'll tell you what I think instantly. Dog shit. That's what I think. Absolute poop. Now, Max Holloway Dustin Poirier 3 is a bit of a polarising fight. Yeah? Let me fix the camera. Bit of a polarising fight because we know Max Holloway has been beat twice by Dustin Poirier. A lot of people are kind of complaining about this matchup, like why are we seeing it again for a third time? Dustin Poirier's beat him twice. There's so many other matchups that can be made, and I do understand that, but it's Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier. It's going to be a banger. Go back and watch their second fight. It's one of the best fights of all time in my opinion. Max Holloway, the featherweight champion, moving up on somewhat short notice to take on Dustin Poirier for the interim UFC lightweight title. And that fight absolutely delivered. Now, it's kind of poetic as well, this fight. So Max Holloway's first fight in the UFC was Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier's last fight in the UFC is going to be Max Holloway. That there is cinema. But what I don't like about this is the BMF title. And I'll tell you why I don't like the BMF belt being on the line. Max Holloway's not the BMF champion.
Bruh.
He's just not. He fought Ilia Topuria. Both guys were in the same weight class and he got knocked out. So he's not the BMF champion. The BMF belt doesn't make any sense at all. And like, this doesn't need the BMF title on the line. Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier sells itself. They are two massive names that always deliver when they show up to fight, have got massive fan bases. They don't need a gimmick title on the line. They just don't. Get rid of the BMF belt. It doesn't need to be here. But moving on to the co-main event. Brendan Allen, Marvin Vettori. Look, this fight needs to be on this card because for those who know, Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen do have bad blood. There's beef there. Those guys fought each other in a casino. So these guys do have beef, and Brendan Allen is from New Orleans. I like this fight. If you go back and watch how the UFC should book UFC 318 on my channel, you would see I include this fight on the main card. But it's not co-main event worthy. Like, this is Dustin Poirier's final fight. Why is there not a big send-off? Now, don't get me wrong. There will be hype for this fight because Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen will go at it, I'm sure, at the press conference with back and forths. I'm sure they'll probably get a bit physical when they face off with one another. I mean, the guys fought each other in the casino. There's only one way this is going. They are going to try and fight on stage, which will be awesome. It'll be fun to see, and I will be hyped up for this matchup, but it was such an easy option. Move this to the feature fight. Get these two women off the main card immediately because nobody gives a shit about this fight. Let's stop pretending. Off the main card. Let's move Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen here. And let's have Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker 5-round co-main event. And then you set up the lightweight division as well because whoever wins out of Gaethje, if Gaethje wins, he probably fights for the title, which is a disgrace because if Max Holloway beats Dustin Poirier, he's earned a title shot in my opinion. Now, people might say, well, what about the Ilia Topuria knockout? And that is a fair point, but he would be undefeated in the lightweight division, beating Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje. Say he stops both of them. The guys earned a title shot at that point. But yeah, Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, rebook that 5-round co-main event to this card. That there was perfect. Have this as the feature fight. The rest of the card, Ikram Aliskerov versus Ferreira is going to be a fun matchup. Ferreira is a big puncher. We've seen Ikram Aliskerov be stopped by Robert Whittaker. Whittaker isn't the biggest puncher, if we're being honest. Ferreira does carry some dynamite, but Ikram Aliskerov is really good in my opinion. I think this guy is a future top fiver in the UFC's middleweight division. I expect him to win this, and I think he'll win this by finish. I like the fact they've got good, entertaining prospects on the card, like a Nick Iskarov. Then we've got Kyler Phillips versus Vinicius Oliveira. Again, another fun matchup. Vinicius Oliveira is a very fun fighter. I'm glad he's getting the spotlight on the main card, because this will be a big card. It's Dustin Poirier's retirement fight. It'll be a big card. So I'm glad they've got someone like Vinicius Oliveira and Ikram Iskarov on the card to showcase their talent in fun matchups as well. But it needs a big co-main event, in my opinion. And this would have been a really good card. It really would have been. Marvin Vettori, Brendan Allen's going to sell the shit out of this event, because Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier aren't. They're going to be very respectful to one another. So the big promotional push that's going to be like clipped up online is going to be Vettori, Brendan Allen, which will be fun. But again, should be feature fight. Gaethje, Hooker, 5-round co-main event. That should have been it. Moving on though, let's look at this right here. Oh, happy days. There's been talks of moving UFC 320 from Mexico to the USA because the arena will not be ready for September the 13th. They've already started cancelling events up to the start of September, and the UFC are a bit worried that this arena in Guadalajara will not be ready. Perfect. Let's move UFC 320 not to Vegas, because that weekend is Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. So let's move it elsewhere. Maybe let's go to Miami. They always have fun cards in Miami. Let's go Miami, yeah? Let's move UFC 320 to Miami. Let's have Ankalaev Pereira 2 headline UFC 320. Let's move away from this UFC Noche. Let's move away from this Mexican themed type card. Let's move away from that. The arena's not going to be ready. Good. Volkanovski, Yair, cancel that. Cancel Movsar versus Aaron Pico. Let's do... I'm actually going to make a video booking UFC 320, but let's just give you a quick insight. Ankalaev Pereira 2, Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez on that card, because it's not going to be in Mexico then, so you don't need a Mexican person on the card. Fuck off. Done. Sorted. Plus, the UFC are trying to do this. Oh, I've got such an itchy beard. Fuck. The UFC are doing this for like the Mexican people. The Mexicans aren't going to be watching UFC 320, though, bro. Canelo Alvarez is fighting that night. They will not be anywhere near the UFC. Okay? So, gracias. Let's move on. Let's move away from the Mexican theme event. The Mexicans won't be there. There'll be a Canelo versus Crawford. They won't be here to watch this shit. You know what I mean? Like, who are the Mexican fans going to sit there and think? We've got Canelo Alvarez, megastar in just the world of sport, massive diehard Mexican fan base, or hey kid, Yair Rodriguez with 750,000 Instagram followers. He's the guy. He's the star. He's the star kid. It's him. Yeah, nobody's going to be tuning up for that. No Mexican fan is going to be passing up the opportunity to see Canelo in Vegas to go watch Yair Rodriguez. So let's shut this shit down. Let's move on. Stop trying to compete with Canelo. You know this is his day. This is the dates that he fights in September time for these Mexican events. Let's stop trying to outdo him. It's not going to work. It didn't work last time. It's not going to work this time, especially with him versus Crawford. Let's move past that. And finally, what I just want to talk about here, this is pretty cool link up. Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. wants to train Ilia Topuria for his matchup at UFC 317 against Charles Oliveira. Now, Roy Jones Jr., one of the best boxers of all time, if we're being honest. Go back and watch him. Like, some of the stuff he was able to do in the ring, unreal. And I think he could add something to Ilia Topuria's game, because Ilia Topuria I think he is looking new trainers, because he has parted ways from his two main coaches. He does have his boxing coach still, but he doesn't have his other two coaches, his jiu-jitsu coaches, which would be actually really crucial for this Oliveira camp, if we're being honest. And I'm pretty sure, I can't remember where I seen this, who was talking about it. It might have been MMA Guru or Bedtime MMA. I think it was Bedtime. He was saying that those two coaches that Ilia left were the ones that game planned for him. So they will be a big loss. Roy Jones Jr. would be good for Ilia Topuria to train with outside of camp. Because Roy Jones Jr., yes, he is one of the best boxers of all time, but MMA boxing is so different from traditional boxing, and we've seen it time and time again. The foot placement, the way you stand, the way you move, it's so different, because Ilia's going to have to be conscious of leg kicks and stuff like that, and he's going to have to be conscious of the leg kicks, conscious of the takedown threat from Oliveira, which then throws off his weight distribution whenever he is boxing. You know, maybe Ilia, if he was traditionally just boxing, he'd be more heavy on the front foot. You know what I mean? Weight more in the front foot, where in MMA is going to be more weight in the back foot, so he can kind of lift up and check the leg kicks. You know what I mean? Roy Jones Jr. would be really good to sharpen up Ilia Topuria outside of camp. I don't think employing him for an actual MMA camp, especially in there with Oliveira, it'd be different if he was going in there with like a Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier doesn't throw many kicks, so this would be like a good addition to have. But Oliveira is a Muay Thai striker with elite grappling. I don't think Roy Jones Jr. would be the man to be training Ilia, because I think Ilia is going to have to utilise his leg kicks in this matchup against Oliveira as well, and not just box. You know what I mean? I think what's going to win Ilia the matchup is his boxing, but I think it's going to be set up with his low leg kicks, his calf kicks. Also, is anyone else just thinking now that Ilia is going to sub Oliveira, or is that just me? Like, I can just see him Darce choking Oliveira. I might be wrong, I might be the only one that thinks that, but I actually have a feeling he's going to Darce Oliveira. Shout out to Islam Makhachev. Let me know your opinions in the comments below. Again, a big thanks for all the support. Thanks for letting me hit 1k. I really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you all again in the next one.